Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going on a bit of an inward journey. We're exploring the core of Zen Buddhism, really, through the teachings of someone who, well, profoundly shaped how it landed in the West.
That's right. We're looking at Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, focusing on his very, very practical teachings, about practice, philosophy. And our source material, it's excerpts from his collected talks. The book is Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind.
Right. And our mission here for you is to really get to the heart of Zen practice, to kind of move past maybe some abstract ideas or mystical notions you might have, and focus on the doing. The practical stuff Suzuki Roshi always emphasized.
Yeah, he wasn't really about chasing those, big dramatic enlightenment moments. His whole approach, especially in these talks, which were quite informal, it was just incredibly direct, really rooted in the reality of this moment.
And that's what makes this source feel so alive, doesn't it? It's like you said, informal talks.
Exactly. It feels less like a dry lecture and more like a conversation. He's talking about the real questions, the struggles that pop up when you genuinely try to, understand your own mind. It's surprisingly accessible.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. If there's one core idea, like an anchor through all these teachings, what would you say that is?
Oh, without a doubt, it's got to be beginner's mind. Shoshin in Japanese.
Beginner's mind. Okay, what does that actually mean in this context?
Well, Suzuki Roshi put it really clearly. He said the beginner's mind is empty, ready to accept doubt, and be open to all possibilities. And he contrasts that quite sharply, actually, with the expert's mind, which he says is bound by various habits.
Ah, okay. So like someone who thinks they've got it all figured out already, their mind's kind of full.
Yeah.
But the beginner's mind is open, receptive.
Precisely. And that openness, that emptiness, it's absolutely crucial for practice because, the text says, only such a mind can look at the original face of everything as it is.
Yeah.
It lets you see reality directly, without all the filters of your ideas or habits. And he adds, this state is the source of infinite meaning.
Right. And here's where it gets kind of tricky, doesn't it? It feels like a paradox. Suzuki Roshi points out that even after years of practice, you might get better, technically, sure, but the infinite meaning of the original mind is quite easily lost.
Yeah, that's the subtle trap, isn't it? As you get more experienced, you tend to develop expectations. You think, oh, I know Zen now, or I'm getting good at meditation. That whole idea of I've achieved something, really any thought that centers on I or me, it just creates limits. Our mind, which is naturally vast, gets kind of boxed in. A truly self-sufficient mind isn't closed off. It's empty and open. It could hold everything.
So the goal isn't really to pile up knowledge about Zen or collect cool experiences. It's more about constantly returning to that open state, that beginner's state, no matter how long you've been practicing.
It's a continuous cultivation, of openness.
Okay, so how do we ground this? Make it physical, something we can actually do. Which I guess brings us to Zazen, right? Sitting meditation. And he gets pretty specific about posture.
He does. He talks about the lotus pose or half lotus, variations, keeping the spine straight, shoulders level, chin tucked slightly, hands in the mudra. But he stresses, and this is important, that these aren't just about looking the part or getting comfy. There's a deeper symbolism.
Like the crossed legs in the lotus. He uses an analogy there, doesn't he?
Yes, exactly. He says that posture expresses the identity of the dual, non-dual, non-one. Think about it. Two legs, right? But they come together. It symbolizes how things we usually see as separate. Left, right, body, mind, even life, death. They aren't truly separate. They're interdependent, part of one whole.
And the really crucial bit here, I think, is that simply taking the posture itself is the correct psychological state.
This is so fundamental and often missed. You're not doing the posture to get to some special state. The state of mind is inherent in the posture itself. When done correctly, with presence, he says, when you have no desire to gain anything, what you will possess is the body and mind here and now. You don't need to find peace. It's right there in the act of just being fully in your body, sitting.
So the effort isn't about straining for some mental state. It's just being completely present here now. He has those analogies, right, about presence.
Yeah, like the microphone needing to be in the right place. Or the boss analogy, if you are not in your proper place, you cannot put anything in its proper place. If the person in charge isn't fully present, fully there, things tend to fall apart, don't they?
You have to really own your body and mind, be present at this time, at this place. And crucially, this isn't just for when you're sitting on the cushion, is it?
Absolutely not. He's very clear. Maintaining correct posture and presence, it's for everything. When engaged in any other activity, driving, reading, washing dishes, the principle is the same. Be fully there.
Okay, so we focus on posture, presence, but, inevitably, the mind wanders, thoughts, worries, distractions pop up. How do you actually deal with those ripples? Do you fight them?
Well, his instruction is simple, but it often goes against our instinct. He says, you should let them come and go. Just let them be. Don't try to push them away or suppress them. He explains they aren't like outside invaders. They're just ripples of your own mind. There is nothing outside of you that can cause trouble. The ripples in your heart are created by yourself.
He makes that distinction, too, between big mind and small mind. Can you explain that?
Yes, that's helpful. Small mind is, well, it's the mind caught up in this thought, that feeling, attached to things, limited by our likes and dislikes. Big mind, on the other hand, is the mind in its essential nature. It's vast. It contains everything without being defined or limited by any one thing. It's the open awareness itself.
And that leads to that water analogy, which I found really powerful. The mind is like pure water, and thoughts are the ripples. And the really profound part is when he says, the ripples are the water's practice.
Exactly. It just flips the whole script on thoughts, doesn't it? They aren't interruptions to your practice. They are the mind doing its practice. Water and ripples, they're one thing. Big mind and small mind, ultimately one. Understanding this brings a kind of security. Big mind isn't static. It's always full, always active. It actually moves to expand itself through various different experiences, including thoughts.
So the difficulties, the distractions we usually judge as bad or problems, they're actually part of it, integral.
Yes. He uses that weeds analogy too. You should be full of gratitude for the weeds in your heart, because in the end, they will nourish your practice. Difficulties, unwanted thoughts, they are enemies. They're the compost, you could say, that can really deepen your understanding if you approach them with this mindset.
Wow. Okay. That really changes how you relate to your own mind during sitting. It's not a battle.
It's more like an allowing, an acceptance of its nature.
Right. Okay, so if the posture is the state and even thoughts are part of the practice, what about effort? Where does that fit in? Are we supposed to be trying really hard?
Good question.
Yeah.
This brings us to what he calls correct effort. And the key here is shifting from a gaining idea to a no-gaining idea. A gaining idea means you're doing the practice to get something, peace, enlightenment, whatever. No gaining idea means you do the practice purely for its own sake.
But isn't having a goal what gets most people started? Like wanting to feel calmer or more focused. What's wrong with that?
Well, from Suzuki Roshi's view, when you attach to getting a result, you add these extra components, things that actually pollute the practice. He gives the example of pride. If you practice very well and therefore feel pride, this pride is an unnecessary component. The action might be right, but the attachment, the self-congratulation, makes it impure. He says it straight. When you believe that Zazen can give you something, your practice is already impure.
So the purest instruction is just sitting.
That's the core, just sitting, shikantaza. The essence of Zazen is right there, in your sitting, whether you feel something special or not. You don't need to look for it or expect it. He uses that koan analogy, right? Listen to the sound of one hand clapping.
Yeah.
We think sound needs two things, right? But he says the sound exists before you clap. Because it exists, you can make it, and then you hear it. That fundamental potential, that sound, it's everywhere.
So the potential for awakening, the essence of practice, it's always here, even if our busy minds don't notice it.
Exactly. And this whole no gaining thing, it's not just for meditation, it applies to life. He advises, don't put your gaze on specific things. Don't think of achieving some special accomplishment. True peace isn't only found in stillness. He says only stillness within movement is true stillness. It's found by being fully engaged in life's activities, but without clinging desperately to the outcomes.
He also talks about how progress isn't like flicking a switch. He compares it to walking in fog.
Right, not like a quick shower where you're instantly wet. He says Zen practice is more like walking in the fog. At first you don't feel wet, but the further you walk, the wetter you become. Progress is gradual, little by little, step by step, like learning an instrument, or his example was baking bread. To study how dough can become good bread, the Buddha baked the bread again and again. It takes patience, repetition, not trying to force it.
Okay, so it's clear Zen isn't just about sitting quietly in a room. How does this actually show up in the rest of life?
Suzuki Roshi is very direct about this. Zen isn't about seeking some kind of, spiritual buzz or excitement. He says Zen is simply concentration on our ordinary affairs. just paying attention to what you're doing. He even gives that slightly surprising advice, don't be too interested in Zen, because chasing excitement in Zen can pull you away from the real practice, which is just being present in your normal everyday life.
That connects nicely to that idea he mentions of not leaving a trace. What's that about?
Ah, yes. That means doing everything with your whole self. When doing anything, you must fully invest your whole body and mind. Completely. Totally. He uses the bonfire analogy. It burns itself up completely, leaving only ashes. If you hold back, if you're attached to the outcome or thinking about yourself, traces of the self will remain on what you do. And like ashes don't become firewood again, when something is done fully, it's done, you move on clean, no residue.
And bowing, that's another practice he highlights. It seems quite physical.
Oh, bowing is incredibly powerful. It's a direct practice of letting go of that small, separate self. He says bowing is abandoning oneself, which means abandoning dualistic thinking. So when you bow to the Buddha, you become one with Buddha, but then he extends it, everything becomes your teacher. Everything is worthy of reverence. He actually says, sometimes we might as well bow to cats and dogs. It's about seeing the inherent value, the Buddha nature, in absolutely everything, letting go of the ego that constantly judges better or worse. He even mentions his own master having a callus on his forehead from constant bowing. It shows that sustained, devoted effort.
And giving is another one, bushi.
Yes. And giving, he says, is fundamentally non-attachment. It's not just about money or things. Giving anything a kind word, help, even just, a leaf you notice, if it's done with that spirit of non-attachment, without expecting thanks or reward, that's true giving.
He links this back to creation itself, doesn't he? Saying everything is given by the big self or God.
He does. The idea is that creation is always happening, always being given, but we forget the source, we forget the big self doing the creating, and we get attached to the results. We think we did it, and then we get lost, like he says, like children who have lost their parents at a loss.
Yeah.
So the daily practice of just forgetting what we have done and doing new things, that's non-attachment in action. Don't cling to yesterday's success or failure. Meet today fresh.
This is really digging deep. Let's touch on some of the underlying philosophy here. Non-duality, the nature of reality.
Yeah, at the heart of it all is non-duality. Suzuki Roshi keeps pointing out that things we see as opposites, body and mind, life and death, they're really two sides of the same coin. Seeing that is the right view.
And in Zazen, in the sitting practice, you can experience that directly.
That's the idea. He talks about how in deep sitting, the usual concepts of time and space can dissolve. Time and space become one. When you live fully in this moment, those distinctions collapse. His example is simple but profound. We will eat lunch at 1 o'clock, and eating lunch itself is 1 o'clock. The activity is the time.
He also brings up that famous line from the Heart Sutra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form.
Right, and he makes a subtle distinction. He contrasts it with saying, form does not differ from emptiness. Practice isn't just about intellectually getting that they aren't different. It's about experiencing their actual identity. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form.
And his take on what it means to live that is quite moving.
It really is. He says, essentially, knowing life is short and therefore savoring every moment, good or bad, that is living. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. It means fully accepting everything that comes, welcoming it all because it's all reality. He quotes that Zen master, when the Buddha comes, you welcome him. When the devil comes, you welcome him just the same. And that other quote, sun-faced Buddha, moon-faced Buddha, both the bright and the dark aspects of life are expressions of the same reality.
He also discusses Dogen's idea that sentient beings are Buddha nature, not just that they have it.
Yes, that's a key Mahayana point Dogen stressed. Nothing exists outside of Buddha nature. It's not a thing you possess. It is the fundamental nature of everything. Thinking anything is separate from it is just, well, a delusion. So being human is being Buddha. Buddha nature, he says simply, is just another name for human nature. It's already here. It's what you are.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly profound and simple in a way, but let's be real. Sitting still, not getting lost in thought, it's hard. What are the difficulties, the common mistakes people run into?
Oh, he's very down to earth about the challenges. He points out common pitfalls. One big one is idealistic practice. Setting really high goals or having strong expectations about what meditation should feel like. He says this just creates greed and leads straight to disappointment when, inevitably, reality doesn't match the fantasy.
Like expecting nirvana after your first week.
Exactly. He calls setting goals like that absurd. Another pitfall is competitive practice, trying to be a better meditator than someone else. A pitiful way of practicing, he calls it.
So if you're sitting there feeling tired or bored or just plain annoyed, Does that mean you're failing?
Not at all. He actually says feeling tired or bored is a warning sign. But it's a warning about your approach, not about you. It probably means your practice is too idealistic, or you're still stuck in that gaining idea. These feelings are actually feedback, opportunities to see where you're maybe off track and adjust.
There's even that bit, which seems really counterintuitive, about feeling happy during practice, potentially being assigned something's not quite right.
I know, right? It sounds odd, but he explains it in terms of levels of practice. Early on, sure, you might feel peaceful or happy, and that's fine. But at the deepest level, the practice is just the practice itself. It's free from chasing pleasant feelings or avoiding unpleasant ones. The highest level is just doing it without needing the reward of feeling good.
He uses that analogy of the 4 types of horses, too.
Yes. Most people want to be the best horse, right? The one that gets it instantly with just a hint. But Suzuki Roshi flips it. From the Buddha's compassionate view, maybe the worst horse. The one who struggles, needs lots of effort, suffers, maybe that horse is the most valuable. Why? Because their very struggle provides a solid basis for a determined, seeking mind. It's rooted in confronting their own imperfection. He even says something quite startling. Repeating the same mistake is also Zen. It's about the consistent, concentrated effort over years, even if it involves errors.
So experiencing pain when sitting or getting distracted or bored, these aren't barriers to the practice. They're part of it.
Precisely. He says when you feel pain, the best strategy is to sit Zazen. There's no other way to really accept and work with suffering. By sitting in the center of your trouble, you get to find out which one is more real, your trouble or yourself. Engaging with difficulty consistently reveals the truth of your own being.
Wow. Okay, this has been such a rich, deep dive into these teachings. Now, let's bring it back to you, our listener. You brought us this source material. You're doing your own deep dive into whatever topic you're focused on right now. How can these Zen ideas actually help you in that process?
Yeah, let's connect the dots. First off, approach your topic, your research, your learning with beginner's mind. Suzuki Roshi said, even if you've read tons of scriptures, read every sentence with a fresh mind. So don't go into your material thinking you already know it all. Stay open, curious, ready to accept new things, maybe even doubt what you thought you knew. Keep your mind empty, ready to really receive the information.
Right. Don't be the expert whose mind is already full and kind of closed off. Be ready to see things clearly, even if they challenge your existing ideas. Right?
Exactly. And second, maintain posture and presence. When you're actually doing your deep dive reading, watching, listening, be fully there. You must own your body and mind. Don't be half distracted, scrolling your phone while trying to grasp something complex. Really commit to being in that moment of learning.
And deal with those mental ripples, yeah. The confusion, the doubts, maybe feeling overwhelmed when you hit a tough spot. Don't try to just push those feelings away. See them as the natural activity of your mind grappling with the material. Let them come, let them go. Remember the weeds. Those difficulties can actually nourish your understanding in the end.
Absolutely. And apply that principle of effort without gaining. Engage with your topic for its own sake, for the sheer process of understanding it, not just to get the answer or finish the project or kick the box of being informed. The real value is in that sincere, focused engagement. Like Suzuki Roshi said, in your own pure essence, you already possess everything. The insights aren't just out there to be grabbed. They arise through your engaged process.
And embrace the ordinary steps. Your deep dive isn't likely to be a single blinding flash of insight, right? It's the steady work, the reading, the thinking, the connecting ideas, maybe going back and revising that is the practice. It's the concentration on our ordinary affairs of learning.
And linked to that, try to not leave a trace. When you finish a section, grasp an idea, complete a task related to your topic, absorb it, process it, but then let it go. Don't cling to it. Move on fully to the next thing with a fresh perspective. Do each part completely, then be ready for what's next.
And finally, accept the difficulty. If your material is tough, confusing, maybe even contradictory, don't shy away from it. Just like facing discomfort in Zazen, facing difficulty in your learning is part of the path. It can deepen your understanding. Remember, the worst horse. The struggle itself can build determination. Sit with the difficult parts of your material.
Just like sitting in the center of your trouble can show you what's real, really engaging with the challenging bits of your topic. Well, that's often where the deepest insights are hiding.
So our journey through Shunryu Suzuki's teachings today has really shown us the quiet power of beginner's mind, hasn't it? Finding truth in just being present, the freedom in letting go of gaining, and seeing the profound depth in ordinary life.
Yeah, these teachings really point towards a freedom and peace that isn't about escaping problems or chasing special states. It's about fully being here, in this moment, exactly as it is, with a mind that's open, accepting, and just engaged.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. And maybe here's a final thought for you to carry into your own exploration. Perhaps the deepest aha moment isn't finding something totally new out there, but recognizing the profound, ordinary truth that's been right here inside you all along, just waiting to be noticed through simple, focused presence.